I think I figured out happiness in the matrix. Good morning. I'm at Hawn State Park here in Missouri, just about an hour and 45 minutes from where I live. And a couple special things about today. Hawn State Park is the first place I ever backpacked. So that was a trip that I just decided when I wanted to backpack. I finally got all the gear together. I got all the gear, and it happened to be January. And it was the weekend. It was back when I, worked before I thru hiked. And it was going to be like in the 20 degrees, 22 degrees, I think, that night. But I had all my gear, and I was like, I got to go do this. I bought all this stuff, and I got to try it out. So I came down to Hawn State Park by myself, and I found one of their backcountry sites. I think their reservation system works differently than it used to. When I did it the first time, it was just there was a board, and whatever's open, you just put your name on it, and it's yours. I think now it's a whole different system, even for the backcountry campsites. But I'm down here today to do a trail run. Depending on how I string together the different trails, I'm going to probably do 10 to 12 miles. I'll do some walking, do some video, and so I'm hoping nobody's at the campsite that I actually camped at, because I'd like to go check it out just for sentimental purposes. That one night at that one campsite changed my life, and now I'm a double crowner. So I'm gonna go get my vest on and get going, and it's gonna be pretty. The leaves are starting to turn. I know I haven't been here in a couple years, but I know there's some pretty good like rushing streams, and it's a really pretty state park. So let's get ready and go hit the trail. There are quite a few cars here. I've seen a couple different groups of two with full packs. Looks like they're gonna be doing some backpacking, making me a little jealous. I'm gonna start off with the Whispering Pines Trail, and there's a north and south loop. So I think I may do all of that. So we will see, just see how it goes. This is more just a fun run and do a little exploration today. All right, I just finished this leg of the North Loop, like maybe not even half the North Loop, but it gets right here. I don't know if you can see the sign with the shadows. So the North Loop in the parking lot is the way I just came from, which is behind me. And then the Whispering Pines South Loop is this way. And let me tell you, there was a spot coming down that descent. It was way rockier and a little more technical than I remembered it being. So that slowed me down a bit. But man, these fall colors are really starting to pop. It's a nice day. I don't know if I said this earlier. It was about 43 or 44 when I left the house this morning, but it was about 60 when I started running. So it's a beautiful day to be in the woods. I thought I would check out a couple of these campsites. This is campsite number 8 on the South Whispering Pines South Loop. And man, it's a really nice campsite. There's even a shovel and a fire pit. Man, and you could easily fit 1, 3, 4, it'd be a really comfortable 3-person site. But if you wanted to pile them up, like we had to do sometimes on the AT or the PCT, you could fit 8 there. 8 backpacking tents, I do believe. I mean, you'd be almost touching each other, but I think you could fit 8 on campsite 8. Somewhere right here near this bluff, I took a picture of me on my first backpacking trip. Somewhere right here by this bluff, I think. Man, it's a cool looking bluff too. Just checked out campsite number 7. It's not as far off the trail as number 8. It was an okay spot. You can fit several tents there. There's a fire ring and also a shovel. However, I just didn't like it as much. It's cool next to these big rocks here, but it's just right back there. I don't know, it wasn't as, I think 8 had like beds of pine needles for the tents and this one didn't. I think that was the main difference in my mind. It doesn't look it in the camera, but this is nice clear water. It's probably 18 inches to 2 feet deep in the deeper spots there. All right, here's campsite 5. I didn't even see a trail or anything, but I guess I just passed 6 that's behind me. I'm gonna go over here because I think I took a break here on my first backpacking trip. I'm gonna go look. Ooh, I'm gonna have to do some rock hopping right here. Okay, this does not look how I remembered it looking. But I did this in January, a few years ago. And I'm pretty certain, because there were 2 sites right together. There was 6 is right up there, this is 5. And it was along this stretch, so it has to be it. I stopped here and had a snack break before I made the last stretch to where I was planning to camp. But the things are different. I was thinking it was altogether different. I knew there was water you had to cross. But then I thought there was a big log here, but there's no sign of that. Maybe it was this little log over here, but I definitely sat here and had a snack break. It's always fun to reminisce, especially something so huge in my life as my first backpacking trip. I've gotten really good at holding the camera still while hiking. I'm not sure if image stabilization is going to be enough to make this footage usable, but we'll try. Okay, here we are. We have finished the Whispering Pines South Loop. Where we were the last time is just that way, not too far. There's like a little couple 100-yard connector between the north and south. So we're skipping that because we did the whole south. We're back up to the other side of the north. We're right at just over 6.5 miles in so far. We're gonna finish up the north loop, hoping there's nobody at that campsite. It was shown as occupied, but I'm hoping there's nobody at the campsite that I camped at. So we'll look around there, depending on how I feel and what the distance is. When we get up to the branch for Pickle Creek, we may do the Pickle Creek Trail too. Man, it is a beautiful day. 60s. The reds and yellows are popping. There's still a lot of green, but it's a beautiful day to be in the woods. Just had a pretty steep rock scramble up. And I'm taking a break up here, have a snack. And man, there are some really good views, but I can only see them through parts of the trees. It'll get way better once the leaves are all off. This is a beautiful big campsite. Lots of pine needles on the ground. The interesting thing is though, it's just labeled on the signage as primitive camping. There's no number 4 anywhere. You can see there's just a camp sign. Now there's a 3 going this way. And what's weird, I have a paper map and I'm using the All Trails map, which I know those aren't great, but that's all I had for here. And where the GPS is showing me on the All Trails map is not anywhere on the right direction where campsite 3 is on the paper map. So I have my watch off right now. I'm not running. I'm just trying to do some scouting and look at these campsites just for an adventure, for knowledge, for maybe the future. Who knows? So it says this way is campsite 3. The interesting thing is I've had in my mind since that first trip that this campsite, number 3, is where I thought it was on the map. There was just this really cool spot. This whole area around here looks nothing like what I thought, like what I remembered. Now, the woods look different in January than they do right now, obviously, but I'm intrigued. I'm trying to figure out what I got confused in my memory from that first trip. Okay, I figured it out. I knew I wasn't crazy. I've read maps enough to know I knew where I was at. And it kept saying 3 this way. And it was, the 3 was next to a camping logo right back here. It's White Connector 3. The name of the trail, it's Connector Trail 3. But somebody put the 3 next to a camp sign and makes it look like the campsite 3 is that away. But that away is the connector that cuts this loop, a chunk of this loop off, and goes back to the parking lot. I walked more than halfway up the connector before I turned around. So, like I said, I've been running my watch other than when I'm doing stuff like this. So, all the time that I have been moving forward on the loop that I intended to do, I've had my watch on. I have turned my watch off or paused my run for all the times that I've been doing all these campsite checking out campsites off the trail. And then I've also I'm carrying a tripod today. I normally don't carry one like when I thru hike, but I'm carrying a tripod. So every time I've set up the tripod and taken B-roll footage and things like that, I've also stopped my watch. Just having fun playing around with my camera, doing a little stuff I normally don't do when I'm in a hurry trying to make miles, through hike. But it has been such a fun day already. I've been out here a couple hours, probably 3 hours already. Okay, back on the path that I was intending to do. I do remember from that first trip, parts of this big wide trail were really muddy. It's completely dry now, but we've had a pretty long dry stretch here in Missouri. This is Camp 3 that I remembered. It's a little different than I remembered. Got all these big rocks here. It's a smaller campsite. You got a fire pit there. You could fit one tent right here. Mostly you can fit one or two right over here. But the cool thing is, now this time there's not water. There was water pretty much surrounding it 4 years ago. So this had water in it. And as you can see here, it's kind of like on 3 sides, surrounded by what is now a dry creek. But there was running water in it, which I thought was pretty cool for the the sound vibes, like nature's sleep music, if you will. So, I don't know, this may be an option if I come back here sometime and can get campsite 3. There is good flowing water on the trail into here, just up towards the main trail. There is some good flowing water there now, so I'm sure that looks like it's not as seasonal. It's been pretty dry and there's plenty of water there, so I would think that's probably fairly reliable. Blah, 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 blah. I'm gonna go and run the rest of the way up this trail back to the main trail because we were getting close. We started at 10 campsites and worked our way around. I did not see all of them, but we did see most of them. Number 2 is next. And like I said earlier, it's set occupied today on the board, but it's early in the day. It's only 2:30 or so, I think. So hopefully nobody's camped there yet and we can look at it. We're getting close. I'm gonna start running because I want to get there. All right, we just came off the Whispering Pines. We're gonna head towards the Pickle Creek. But right here on this White Oak connector trail this way, we're gonna go to campsite 2. Doesn't look like much right now. It's the smallest of the campsites we've seen. But man, I thought this was the bee's knees. I did make a fire in the fire pit, and I have my tent somewhere right here. I had to find a picture and insert it here, but it was somewhere right here in front of these trees. And of course, all this green wasn't there then. So that was January of 2021, and here we are in 2024. So the first time I ever backpacked was a little over 3.5 years ago, and this was it. I did a solo trip right here by myself. I remember a couple things. It was cold. It was really cold, and it got dark at, like what, 5 o'clock or earlier. So I was set up. I had my dinner. I made a fire, sat there for a while. I knew I couldn't get in my tent then because I was like amped up and excited. I think I hiked 8 or 9 miles that day, so I wasn't really like gonna go to sleep right away. But I sat up and I probably had some hot chocolate and drank some water. Fell asleep in the middle of the night. I woke up and I had to pee so bad. I actually broke the zipper the zipper broke. It was the first time I ever used that Big Agnes tent. And the zipper broke trying to get out of it right there. Luckily, I sent it back. Big Agnes repaired it. Obviously, it shouldn't have broken the first time I ever used it. But a lot of memories right here. This started it all for me. And I'm going to have to come back here and camp here again. Although that other campsite's probably a better campsite. I liked this one because it's up higher. I don't know why. I just don't like to camp like down in bowls and down low if I can help it. Unless you're like trying to avoid wind or something. But right here, this is like a flat mound that kind of goes slightly downhill on all sides. I'm not sure if I feel like safer that way or what, but this was it. I woke up in the morning. It was very frosty and cold, and I went and hiked this connector trail that this campsite's on. I think it's called the White Oak Trail over there. Went and hiked that loop and then turned around and came back this way. And I think I got about 10 miles in that day as well and was out of here early in the day. But this has been quite the trip down memory lane. And it's just been fun. It's been fun to be out in the woods for more than just like a short day hike or just a run to be running. It's fun to be like running with a mission, having somewhere to go and kind of just exploring, checking out the campsite, checking things out. I'll talk a little bit more about this later, but I think I'm going to start doing a lot of this. But I'm going to get down here back to the connector trail, and then we'll get the watch going and start running again. I'm right back down here on the connector trail in this dry creek bed. I remember there wasn't a lot of water, but there was enough water. That's where I got my water when I camped here, but it's completely dry now. And as I came back down from the campsite, there was a deer right here that took off running. I couldn't see any antlers. I assume it was a doe. I don't know. I didn't really see its head. But wow, yeah, all these little smaller water drainages are dry. But it's only a few hundred yards back to where the main trail is off this connector. And there was some good water there. I had to cross it a couple times. Okay, I just got off of the Whispering Pines trail and onto the Pickle Creek trail. This should add just a little bit of distance. Not a whole lot, but just a little bit. This section is definitely not runnable. Not for me anyway. For sure don't remember the Pickle Creek Trail being this bouldery and rocky. All right, I'm finished with my run. Sitting here at a picnic table. Have a seltzer water. It's a ginger peach flavor sparkling water. And just thought I'd do a quick debrief here. So I did 10.25 miles. I thought that it was going to be like 11 and a half, but it didn't. My Garmin said 10.25. So I'm going to trust that over the maps they have here. So I'll tell you what, this was fun. It was, it felt like a backpacking trip compressed into an afternoon. So, you know, a lot of times when I run at home, I'm just running on trails or roads that I'm on all the time. And there's no sense of like adventure or exploring or anything. It's just I'm there for the exercise. So I've been really excited about the thought of coming here, and I got a couple other ideas. I had a lot of fun today. You know, the slow running, got a lot of exercise in, and just being out in the woods. So I think maybe this is the key to happiness for a thru hiker trying to get through the post-trail depression, and maybe even sustaining for a couple years while you have to work and build the funds back up for another thru hike. So I think probably what I'm going to try to do is do some more longer runs on trails that I haven't been to, maybe travel around Missouri a little bit, but do it in a way that I can, like maybe on weekends when I'm, so I can work during the week when I get a job, and maybe keep something like this up just to have some adventure. I feel good after I run. Like even if I just run 5 or 6 miles around the house or a trail close to there, you get the runner's high, kind of like you're on the hiker high, all the endorphins all day long. And I just feel good and strong and healthy after I do a longer run. So today was only 10 miles. I'm not going to say that I'm working on building up to any certain distance or any certain races or anything like that, but I'm not ready to say it out loud, like any specific races or specific goals or anything like that. For the most part, I just want to work on over the next couple months, like building how far I can go. I have a lot of energy left. I could have done more today, especially with a slower pace and the stopping to go explore side trails and things. But I'm hoping to build up to do 20 or 30 miles maybe in a day. And I don't know if you know, but that's real close to 50K ultra marathon distances. That's all I'll say about that for now. But the other thing that makes me happy is going to sleep at night when my dog can jump up in the bed. She curls up next to me. She snores so loud. She's just so much more comfortable when I'm there with her, and it makes me feel good. So I think that's kind of my key for now. I've been really trying to plan a trip to go hike the Georgia section of the AT, and I'm not going to rule that out before I go back to work. But that's not really my focus. I want to try to start building on figuring out how I can be happy in the matrix, working full time and things like that. So, because I need to do that for a few years. And then the CDT will come later, maybe. That's what I said after the AT, and look where we are. But maybe I mean it this time, I don't know. So for now, I hope you enjoyed this trail running adventure vlog. I'm gonna keep trying to do these. I don't know if I'll be able to do them every week, but I'm gonna try. And I may also, I will do some backpacking trips here in Missouri, maybe just some overnighters. But I really like this idea of getting up early, getting somewhere, getting in a whole adventure, getting back home and being able to sleep at home. It's nice to not have to have all the camping stuff as well. Although I do have all my camping stuff with me. I'm not gonna go home tonight. I'm gonna go do some other stuff down here while I'm down this direction, and go home in a day or two. But generally, it'll be really nice to be able to get some adventures in and then get back home to Lucy, my puppy. So, hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.